I never thought I'd be the one to tell this story. For 30 years, I kept my mouth shut about what happened to me in the Cascades, but with all the recent sightings making the rounds, I can't stay quiet anymore. People need to know what's really out there. What I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know about these creatures. Back in the early 90s, I was obsessed with solo hiking. Not your typical weekend warrior stuff. I'm talking about the most remote, dangerous trails you could find, places where, if something went wrong, nobody would stumble across your body for months. My friends thought I was crazy, but I lived for that rush. The more isolated and hazardous the trail, the better. I'd spend weeks planning these trips, poring over topo maps, hunting for areas that barely registered in any hiking guide. I wanted to go where no one else dared. This particular trip was supposed to be my most ambitious yet. 3 days deep into the Cascades, following old logging roads that hadn't seen maintenance in decades. No cell service, no marked trails, just me in the backcountry. The first 2 days went exactly to plan. I covered good ground and set up camp in spots that probably hadn't seen a human footprint in years. The weather was perfect. My gear was holding up, and I felt that familiar calm that comes from being completely disconnected from civilization. I should have known something was about to go very wrong. Day 3 started like any other. I broke camp early, grabbed a quick breakfast, and began climbing a steep, rocky incline. The plan was to hit a ridgeline that would give me a clear view of the valley below. From there, I could map my route back to the trailhead. About halfway up, I was picking my way across loose rock when everything went sideways. My left boot hit a slab of granite that looked solid but shifted the second I put weight on it. I felt myself tipping backward and tried to catch myself, but there was nothing to grab. Next thing I knew, I was tumbling 15 feet, bouncing off rock the whole way down. I hit bottom hard. The first thing I registered was the sound, a wet pop from somewhere inside my left knee that turned my stomach. When I tried to stand, my leg just folded. No matter how hard I clenched my teeth or willed it to, that knee wouldn't take any weight. Sitting there against a boulder, reality started to sink in. I was at least 4 miles from my truck, completely off anything you'd call a trail. Even if I could crawl the distance, which seemed impossible, I'd never make it before dark. The temperature had already started to drop, and I knew it would dip below freezing after sunset. I spent the next few hours trying everything I could think of. Crawling got me maybe 20 feet before I wiped out. I tried fashioning a walking stick from a dead branch, but putting any weight on that leg sent lightning through my body. By late afternoon, I had to face it. I was stuck. As the sun went down, I started yelling for help. I knew it was pointless. Nobody else was crazy enough to be out here, but what else could I do? I shouted until my throat felt sandpaper dry, hoping against hope that maybe some other hiker had wandered off a main trail. When darkness finally settled in, the temperature crashed. I'd packed for cold weather, but sitting still on the ground is a different beast than hiking. The chill began to seep through my sleeping bag, and I realized hypothermia was becoming a real threat. Between the throbbing in my knee and the bone-deep cold, sleep was out of the question. That's when I heard the first sound. Around midnight, heavy footsteps echoed through the trees, maybe 50 yards off. My first thought was, bear, that'd be bad enough. I tried to make myself look bigger like you're supposed to, but even small movements made the knee worse. The noises came closer, branches snapping, leaves shivering. Something big was moving through the forest. Then it stopped. A complete, suffocating silence that somehow felt scarier than the noise. The air around me changed too. There was this musky, wild smell unlike anything I'd ever encountered. With shaking hands, I fumbled for my flashlight. When I finally got it and swept the beam across the trees, I saw them 2 eyes throwing the light back at me, glowing like golden coins in the dark. But they were wrong too high, at least 8 feet off the ground, maybe more. My brain scrambled to make sense of what I was seeing. Bears don't stand that tall even on their hind legs, and there was something about the way those eyes were set. The intelligence behind them told me this wasn't any ordinary animal. The Bigfoot stepped into my light, and every rational thought I'd ever had evaporated. It was massive, easily 8.5 feet covered in black hair from head to toe. But the build wasn't ape or bear. The shoulders were enormous. The arms hung well past where a human's knees would be, and the chest was a barrel, but it was the face that really grabbed me. Not quite human, not quite animal either. There was intelligence in those eyes, a kind of awareness that raised goosebumps on my arms. It cocked its head slightly. It studied me the way you might examine a strange object you've just found on the ground. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, could barely breathe. This thing could have killed me in 2 seconds, and we both knew it. It let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like it was talking to itself. The noises had a rhythm to them, language-like, but nothing I could understand. I sat there frozen, certain I was about to die. Then the impossible happened. In a voice deeper than any human's, rough and broken, like someone learning to speak for the first time, it said, "You hurt. Bad." I figured I was hallucinating pain, cold, and fear twisting my hearing, but it went on. "I saw you fall, watched long." The words came slowly, each one an effort. The grammar was clumsy, almost childlike, but there was no mistaking what I heard. This creature, the one that shouldn't exist, was speaking English. My mouth opened and closed like a fish, but no sound came out. Finally, I forced one word. "What?" It stepped closer. Each footfall seemed to thrum through the ground. No fear. I help, maybe." The Bigfoot crouched about 10 feet away, keeping its distance but clearly assessing my injured leg. It made a worried, almost clinical sound, the kind a doctor might make over a patient. Up close, I could see the intelligence in its features, the way its eyes tracked my movements, the almost human expressions that flickered across its face. "What do you want?" I finally managed. "Want nothing. You die very bad?" I stared, mind racing to process the impossible. "How do you speak English?" The Bigfoot tilted its massive head, considering the question. "Watch humans very long. Listen when they come to mountains. Learn words slow many seasons." It tapped its chest with a huge finger. Curious about people. Others hide when humans come. I watch. I listen. My fear gave way, bit by bit, to fascination. This was beyond anything I could have imagined. "How long have you been watching?" "Since small," it said, raising a hand to chest height to indicate a child. "Father taught me to hide, but I always want to know the little humans who walk on 2 legs like us." The way it talked about us as the little ones flipped my perspective. To this being, we were the frail intruders on its turf. "Your father?" I asked, wincing as pain flared down my leg. Its expression darkened. "Father is gone. Humans with big sticks came to valley where we live. Father try protect family. Humans shoot. He run but badly hurt. Die in cave alone." The sorrow in its voice was unmistakable. Whatever these creatures are, grief hits the same. "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. It studied my face, weighing whether my sympathy was genuine. "You different. Many humans see us, they run, or try to harm. You hurt, but you talk to me." "Because you're helping me," I said. "Why help me?" The Bigfoot was silent for a long moment. Its massive chest rose and fell with slow breaths. "When I small, a human helped me once. Lost in storm, very afraid. A human found me, gave me food, showed the way home. I never forget kindness." The story only grew more incredible. "A human helped you as a child?" "Old man with silver hair, lived alone in a cabin by river. I was lost 3 days, very hungry. He saw me crying on rock, gave me bread and milk, walked with me until I found my family's trail." Its large eyes went distant with the memory. "Family very angry. Say never trust humans. But old man, he help lost child. I do not forget." I began to understand why this Bigfoot wasn't like the others, and early kindness had shaped its view of us. "I went back many times to thank him," it continued. "Watched his cabin from a tree. He never saw me. I left gifts, sweet berries, fish from stream. One day, cabin empty, old man gone. I was sad for long time. It looked down at my ruined leg. You make me remember man alone in mountains need help. Maybe I repay that kindness now." As we talked, I learned more about its people than I'd ever dreamed. They call themselves something that sounds like Sabi, though it admitted the word doesn't translate cleanly into human language. They live in extended family groups, 20 to 30 individuals scattered across the most remote ranges. "We used to live everywhere," it said, spreading its massive arms. "All the mountains. Now, fewer." It ticked off fingers. Maybe 8-10 families remain. Others went far away or died. Why? Humans bring noise, cut trees, bring death. We move deeper, higher, but more humans always come. Now we fight. It described a society under crushing pressure. Elders clinging to the old ways, hiding at all costs. The young split between striking back and seeking contact with humans. Those in the middle like it caught between extremes. My brother says humans must die or we die. My sister says try talk to humans, make peace. I do not know. What you think? It was quiet so long I thought it wouldn't answer. Then, I think some humans good, some bad, like my people. Some of us help, some of us harm. But how to tell? It was a fair question and I didn't have a good answer. From their point of view, our expansion must look like an invasion. Human expansion must look like an invasion. From our side, we're just seeking more space, more resources, more adventure. I watch many people come to the mountains, the Bigfoot went on. Some only take pictures and leave footprints. Others cut trees, leave trash, shoot animals for fun. How do we know which kind you are? You're taking a chance on me, I said. Yes, maybe a bad choice, it answered. But the old man taught me, sometimes a risk is worth it. As we talked, the Bigfoot grew more agitated. It kept glancing over its shoulder, nostrils flaring as it tested the air. The distant howls I'd heard earlier were closing in, and now I could hear branches breaking in the woods. They're coming, it said urgently. They smell your blood, not humans. Who's coming? Hunters, the young ones who hate people. They patrol here, looking for anyone who wanders too far into our territory. The Bigfoot rose, its bulk blotting out the stars. If they find you, they kill you slow. Make example, so others know what happens if they come here. My blood ran cold. How many? Maybe 4, 5. All big, all angry. Their leader, it shuddered. Very dangerous. Killed 3 already. Kept pieces as warning. What about you if they learn you helped me? Its expression turned grim. They call me traitor. Say I betray family. Maybe they kill me too. Then why are you still here? Because that old man showed me something important. He showed me your kind and mine are not so different. Both love family, both want peace, both fear what we don't understand. It knelt beside me again, that huge hand hovering over my wrecked leg. But others only see difference, only see threat. You understand? I nodded. This was bigger than borders or resources. It was a clash of worldviews, whether 2 different species could coexist or were doomed to destroy each other. Tell me about the ones who want war, I said. Its face darkened. They say humans are a sickness, spreading everywhere, killing everything. They point to dead rivers, empty forests, animals gone forever. They say the only way to save our people is to remove the human sickness from the earth. Do you believe that? I see what they see. Humans harm, take too much, give nothing back. But I also see humans who care, who try to protect wild places, who feel the same sadness we feel when the forest dies. It was a remarkably nuanced view from a being most people would call primitive. So, what's the answer? I do not know. Elders say hide deeper, wait for humans to destroy themselves. Young warriors say strike first, push humans off the mountains. I think maybe try something different. Different how? It gestured between us. Like this, talk instead of fight. Try to understand instead of fear. But very dangerous. If my people learn I talk to humans. The howls were much closer now, with heavy footfalls thudding through the brush. Its head snapped up, tension tightening every line of its body. No more time for talk. They come. Must move you now. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about the world. The creature this Bigfoot started to speak. Really speak. Not just broken phrases, but explanations. The voice was still rough, the grammar simple, but the meaning was clear. My people watch humans long time, it said, settling back on its heels. Some of us never help humans, others want humans gone. It explained that its kind weren't just avoiding us, they were divided over what to do about us. Some, like it, had observed humans for generations and felt a kind of kinship. Others had grown hostile as human development destroyed more of their territory. The others like me, the ones who hurt humans, come here, it warned. glancing toward the dark trees. They say kill people before people kill us. It told me of forests clear-cut, mountains stripped by open-pit mines, rivers fouled. Its people had once roamed wide country. Now they were squeezed into shrinking refuges. A wilderness I'd thought pristine was, in truth, one of the last holdouts. Humans take everything and leave nothing for us, it said, and the sorrow in the words felt real. The more it spoke, the clearer the complexity became. This individual was caught between worlds. It had seen hikers and campers who respected the land valuing what its people valued, yet it had also watched the wreckage that followed human expansion. I am different, it admitted. I think humans not all bad, but my brother says I am foolish to help. It described fierce debates within its community, whether to reveal themselves, to fight back against encroachment, or to withdraw deeper into hiding. Some wanted war, others wanted a path to coexistence. Many simply wished to disappear. The internal rift was tearing its people apart. Families picking sides, ancient bonds fraying, hatred of humans growing each year. They smell you here. They come, maybe to look, it said, urgency sharpening its tone. You lucky you find me, not others. What it said next chilled me. The hostile faction didn't just avoid humans. They hunted us injured hikers, solo campers, anyone who wandered too far off trail. They smell human blood, it said, nostrils flaring. Injured ones are easy. It described how its people could shadow a human for days undetected, moving through the forest in absolute silence, knowing the mountains better than any of us ever could. An injured hiker like me wasn't merely vulnerable, I was a sitting duck. Maybe tonight they come, it said, eyes raking the darkness. I cannot stop them if they decide to harm you. Despite the danger and despite its fear of its own kind, the Bigfoot chose to help. It slipped into the trees and returned minutes later with an armful of straight branches and tough vines. With startling dexterity for such massive hands, it built a crude splint for my leg. The pain was blinding as it set the sticks and bound them tight with vines. I bit down on a strip of leather I'd cut from my pack and endured. Then it pointed out edible plants and a small creek about 50 yards away where I could get water. It fashioned a makeshift crutch from a sturdy limb, tested it carefully, and handed it to me. Go as fast as you can, it urged, hauling me upright. Do not come back here. Balanced on the rough crutch, I realized maybe I actually could get out. The splint was strong enough to let my leg bear some weight, and the crutch took most of the pressure off. It would be slow, but possible. As I got ready to move, the Bigfoot grew more anxious. He kept turning his head toward the trees, nostrils flaring, his massive hands clenching and flexing. The others are coming, he said urgently. They smell human blood. From the distance, I heard it a howl, or more like a scream, unlike any wolf or coyote I'd ever heard. It was answered by another, from a different direction, then another. The sound was closing in. I knew instantly. These were calls from his kind, other Bigfoot out there. I cannot stop them, he repeated, fear now clear in his voice. The human world and our world they cannot touch. Too dangerous. He helped me shoulder my pack and pointed toward the direction of my truck. The howls grew louder, joined by the crack of heavy branches. Something massive was moving through the forest. Go, he ordered. Go now. I hobbled as fast as the crutch would allow, adrenaline burning away the pain in my leg. Behind me, the howls rose in frequency and intensity. There was no question more than one Bigfoot was out there, and they were communicating. The crude crutch worked better than I expected, but every step was torture. Every few minutes, I heard heavy movement in the woods just behind me, as if something huge was tracking me. I didn't dare use my flashlight for more than a few seconds at a time, afraid the beam would give away my exact position. The night stretched on endlessly, the longest of my life. Step by painful step, I made my way down the mountain. More than once I heard the heavy tread pacing me, just out of sight behind the trees. Whatever was out there was toying with me, letting me know I was being hunted. When dawn finally broke, I spotted my truck in the distance. I had never been so relieved to see anything in my life. I reached it just as the sun rose, utterly spent but alive. I drove straight to the nearest hospital. To the doctors, I said I'd fallen while hiking alone. My knee needed surgery and months of physical therapy. The official story was simple. I slipped on rock and crawled back to my truck. No one asked questions. I never hiked alone again. The mountains that once called to me now felt threatening, alien. For years, I wondered if I'd imagined the whole encounter. Maybe the pain, the cold, the fear had driven me to hallucinate. Maybe my mind invented a talking creature to help me cope with a hopeless situation. But the splint was real, the crutch was real, and deep down, I know the experience was real too. For 3 decades, I kept the story to myself. Who would believe me? Truth be told, part of me hoped I'd never have to think about it again. But now, everything's different. The news is filled with Bigfoot sightings. More and more people report encounters in remote areas. Some sound harmless, even helpful. Others are darker hikers vanishing, campsites torn apart, signs of something massive and aggressive where attacks took place. I think the creature I met was right. His people are divided, and I think the hostile ones he warned me about are becoming more active. Maybe they've decided hiding isn't enough anymore. Maybe they're tired of losing ground to human expansion. That night, the creature saved my life and told me something important. The human world and our world cannot touch. Too dangerous. But I believe our worlds are colliding, whether we want them to or not. Human activity is pushing deeper into their last refuges, forcing them to choose how they'll respond. What worries me most is that people have no idea what they're dealing with. Hiking forums are full of folks planning trips into areas where sightings have occurred, thinking it's all fun, and game's just a chance for a cool picture to post online. They don't know how dangerous some of these creatures can be. The one I met stood at least 8.5 feet tall, weighed maybe 500 pounds, and could have snapped my neck with one hand, and he was one of the friendly ones. The hostile ones don't see humans as equals worthy of respect. They see us as invaders destroying their world. A lone, injured hiker in the wilderness won't be rescued. He'll get exactly what those creatures think he deserves. I'm not trying to scare people away from the outdoors. The wilderness is still a beautiful, vital part of our world. But we need to understand we're not alone out there. We need to respect that some places are better left undisturbed. And we need to face the fact that our expansion into the wild carries consequences we're only beginning to grasp. The creature who saved me once said his people would have to choose between war and coexistence. I think humanity will soon face the same choice. We can keep pushing until we force a confrontation no one wants, or we can find a way to share this planet with beings we're only just starting to understand. That night, the creature could have let me die. It would have been easier, safer for him and his kind. But he chose compassion over fear, understanding over hostility. He showed me that despite our differences, despite the conflicts between our species, there's still hope for something better. I tell this story because I believe people deserve to know the truth. These beings exist. They are intelligent, and some of them are running out of patience with us. What happens next depends on the choices we make right now. The mountains still call to the adventurous, just as they called me 30 years ago. But now I know we're not the only ones who hear that call. And if we're not careful, if we don't start showing more respect for the wild and for the creatures that call it home, that call could become something far more dangerous than any of us are prepared to face. The being who saved my life gave me more than a splint and a crutch. He gave me a warning. I've carried it for 30 years, and now I pass it on to you. What you do with it is up to you.